Okay, I am making I'm making a batch of homebrew using wine yeast for the very first time. So I got 71 B Beast is what it's called for mead, and I added spirulina, so it's green, but I wanted to make sure the yeast had nutrients, and also added cherry juice with the aronia berry. And I had read that the antioxidants are like increased by like 100 times if you use cherry juice. But then um, I looked into it more, and it's actually cornelian cherries, which are from the dogwood tree. So I'm like, well, what makes cornelian cherries different than just normal cherry juice? And it's because cornelian cherries have iridoid in them, and iridoid is a terpene, and I use terpenes a lot for neutralizing free radicals from sugar. And so I know that terpenes usually use a different enzyme pathway than um, the toxicity the enzymes use to process alcohol in the liver. So I was really intrigued, and it turns out that iridoid is reverses the NADH, which is the damage created by in the mitochondria by the alcohol being processed as acetaldehyde, then creating it has to use up NAD plus, which is the basically like the power process, the power cycle in the mitochondria, and so the NAD plus is turned into NADH. So if you take iridoid, it turns out that it's not just cornelian cherries that have iridoid, but so do cranberries. Cranberries have iridoid. So I bought 2 bags of cranberries, and so this wine yeast is a lot slower than I was using baking yeast before, and you can hear it barely fizzing as the CO2 is being created. So it's going to take like a week, but it's supposed to have a higher alcohol content, so that's why I was trying to make it healthier and researching the secret of it's not just like, it's actually not like terpenes aren't technically an antioxidant. I mean, in this case, I guess they are working as an antioxidant, but it's very specialized antioxidant, the iridoid secret. So basically, several studies have highlighted the health benefits of low to moderate drinking in reducing cardiovascular disease, and they're linking 1, 2, 3, 4 studies. However, other studies suggest that even low to moderate alcohol intake might still pose some risk. So how do you, if you're going to have low to moderate alcohol, how do you reverse the risk? And so I figured if I can reverse engineer the biochemistry of alcohol and how it's processed by the liver, I figure that since primates have been drinking alcohol for probably like 10 million years, that there should be in our diet. The other secret is glutathione. Glutathione is also like an antioxidant that is found in spinach and other greens, and that will increase the NDA plus. So if you eat green like spinach and arugula and I don't know, cabbage, fresh greens, you will increase the NAD plus to reverse that damage. but I wanted to be more direct about it. And so this, if you can actually, you can increase the NAD plus, but if you have iridoid, it actually reverses the NADH back into NAD plus. So you're like the glutathione is like a precursor to create more NAD plus, but the iridoid actually like reverses the chemical process. So the health problems are numerous, as everybody knows. There's all sorts of health problems from alcohol, and it's basically the enzyme that metabolizes alcohol is mainly alcohol dehydrogenase ADH. And if you drink like heavily, then it kicks into the cytochrome enzyme. So ADH catalyzes the oxidation of ethanol to acetaldehyde, which is toxic. And then that's oxidized into acetate, which is the same as acetic acid or vinegar, by aldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH. So what's pretty fascinating is that the volume for volume, the alcohol that a person imbibes literally turns into vinegar inside their body. And what ends up happening is over the long term, you get a bicarbonate. The organs start to lack bicarbonate, and basically your body becomes too acidic. And Qigong Master Chen Yulin, he says that acidity in the body is the main cause of cancer. So kind of that makes sense, because if you're actually creating vinegar in the body, but on the other hand, I used to drink vinegar because it does neutralize the free radicals created by sugar, and so the there's a kind of a trade-off going on, because like sugar, if you have like really high levels of fructose, that's just as bad as alcohol. It's like, that's considered basically the same thing as alcohol in terms of the free radical damage. Anyway, so what else happens here? Then you end up getting this fatty liver disease, because since the liver has to process the alcohol, so it ends up messing up the ability to process fat in the liver. So the enzyme NADH dehydrogenase in the mitochondrial accepts 2 electrons from NADH, and then it converting it back to NAD plus to drive ATP synthesis under aerobic conditions. So the alcohol produces DNA mutations by breaking down into the acetaldehyde, and acetaldehyde then binds to DNA and inhibits the repair of the DNA by enzymes. So if you have a high amount of sugar, that also will create enough of these free radicals to also cause DNA damage through mitochondrial overload. So that's why they call fructose alcohol without the buzz. And if you think about it, people are always eating sugar. But so for me, I'm constantly having terpenes and ginger to counteract the damage from sugar. So so if you have glutathione, that's fresh uncooked vegetables like asparagus and spinach and avocado. Acetaldehyde is highly reactive and toxic. Um, there's 5 different types of ADH, which is um, that's the first enzyme that breaks up what's that one called again? Sorry, ADH. The alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because there's different like genetic variations on the enzyme creation and the ability to process alcohol. And I'm not going to go into that, but and then heavy drinkers, they start relying on the cytochrome enzyme to process alcohol, and so it actually clears out the alcohol faster, but then it it increases the oxidative stress when you do that. So it's kind of ironic. It's like they're able to drink more, but they're causing more damage to the body also. And so that explains how alcoholics can like drink people under the table. And actually, the Qigong master Chen Yulin, he said how he was challenged to a drinking showdown with this guy in China, and he just converted his alcohol to the other guy's alcohol. He like doubled the other guy's alcohol level. And then I read another Dragon Gate alchemy master did the same thing. And so anyway, that's something that they learn in that Taoist Dragon Gate lineage, how to convert alcohol into being non-alcoholic. So the prevalence of fatty liver disease is over 30% worldwide now. It's the most common cause of liver disease, chronic liver disease, and it overwhelms the liver's ability to process toxins. And so it's all based on this NADH balance with NAD plus. So when you have alcohol, it creates a large amount of NADH, and that inhibits the liver's ability to burn fat. And so that increases the tumor necrosis factor alpha. And then the acetaldehyde. And so when you're increasing the NADH, you're also creating glycerol 3-phosphate, which combines with fatty acids to form triglycerides. So chronic alcohol consumption reduces NAD plus and increases NADH. And the NAD plus nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is a coenzyme used in therapy to assist alcohol recovery. So, in other words, if you could have this iridoid, is basically like you're replenishing the NAD plus level just like you get in therapy, alcohol therapy. NAD plus and glutathione are complementary molecules for a circular economy to fuel the mitochondria. So again, if you eat greens like spinach or asparagus or cabbage or arugula, that'll increase your glutathione to then increase the NAD plus levels based on the precursors. So they're precursors to NAD plus. Now, when from ages 20 to 60, NAD plus levels naturally drop by 50%, and glutathione synthesis decreases by 45%. So you could see how this really drives the aging process. I'm just reading my blog, obviously. So all this is on my blog. So anyway, you also get binge eating effect from alcohol, and because of certain enzymes that are activated, and they call that the drunchies instead of the munchies, because it activates the AGRP neuron that drives intense hunger signals and interferes with the satiety hormones like leptin. Satiety. I gotta say that. Anyway, so that's two reasons why alcohol causes weight gain, because you get increased hunger, and then you also have increased fat storage because you're the 80 what is it 80 NADH levels block the fat metabolism by the liver. Okay, so then there's various enzymes that would help detoxify alcohol through antioxidants, but this iridoid is a direct conversion of NADH back into NAD+. And so iridoids are a distinct class of secondary metabolites as oxygenated monoterpenoids. NADH acts as a reducing agent, becoming oxidized via iridoids back to NAD+. So that's the secret. They studied this honey mead with cornelian cherry that has a high level of iridoids, and the iridoids were increased anywhere from 5 to 15%. They are actually processed. The iridoids are processed directly through the intestinal fluids, so they're digested faster than just eating food. So what I should probably do then is juice the cranberries. Throw the cranberries in the Vitamix. I don't know if that would break down the iridoid terpenes though. Iridoid terpenes are a class of heterocyclic monoterpenoids found in cornelian cherry. The primary iridoid compound is loganic acid, which accounts for 88 to 96% of the total iridoid content. Cornelian cherry comes from the dogwood tree. So, honey mead was first found in China in 9000 BCE. So, honey is the oldest fermented drink, and it is what the term honeymoon comes from, because the tradition was for newlyweds to drink mead a month after they got married to pray for their unborn children. And so cranberries are one of the richest natural sources. Oh, see, they also have benzoic acid, which means they can mess up the yeast. If you put them directly in the fermentation, they can stop the fermentation because of this benzoic acid. So that's why I'm not adding them to the fermentation directly. So I'll have to add them afterwards. And I'll see if I can juice the Iridoid. Cranberries, does it destroy the Iridoid? So it says if you blend up cranberries, it does not destroy the Iridoid. Blending is a recommended way to maximize the intake of the phytochemical instead of cooking it, because cooking can destroy it. Similar to chewing, blending breaks down the cell structure and increases the bioavailability. While the blender does not destroy it directly, if you blend it too long, if you let it sit out for too long, it can oxidize, which can degrade the antioxidants. That's true. That's true because that happens with my terpenes. If I let them sit out, they go bad. I keep them in the refrigerator for that very reason. Okay, so there you go. So I'll put it in the Vitamix. Cranberry juice has been used for urinary infections because of this Iridoid. The Iridoid. Let's see what we can find about Iridoid. It's kind of like that word, Iridoid. I'm probably saying it completely wrong. I don't know how else to say it. So, yeah, isolated from cranberries. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, that's it. Um, okay, so the iridoids in cranberries are a different kind of iridoid than the cornelian cherry cranberries. All right. So now we got to figure out if that reverses NADH. Plus NAD plus. See if AI knows this or not. I don't know. It doesn't know that. It said it can't find. I'm stumping AI. They can't find anything on it. So I'm I'm doing my own biochemistry here. I'm making a hypothesis. There's no direct evidence for what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'll keep studying it. Iridoids neutralize. Okay. Okay, so iridoid biosynthesis, specifically the reaction catalyzed by iridoid synthase, uses NADH to reduce 10-oxygeranyl back to NAD+. Iridoid synthesis catalyzes the 1R reduction of 10-oxygenaryl to form nepentolactol, a process that requires NADH as a cofactor. It is an NADH-dependent reductase, reversible nature, while the synthase utilizes reduced cofactors. The biosynthetic pathway involves reversible enzymes. Okay. So I think it's gonna work. Even though it's not the exact same kind of iridoid. Um so so all right, yeah, so I'm doing new science here. There the internet doesn't know. I'll have to keep researching it, but I think it's gonna work. So that's all I have to say. Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm glad you're interested. Nice. Well, I'm gonna sign off. Sorry for trying to do research while I'm live streaming. Not a good idea. But um I'll try to get more details, but I think it's gonna work because they're both iridoids, so it should be similar enough. And um we know that greens, do reverse a lot of the damage, but I'm thinking the cranberries are they're gonna work. So thanks for your interest.